And then they give me this blood pressure drug, which dropped my blood pressure down, which was good. But in the process of doing that, it compromised my lungs and it dropped my heart rate to about 13 BPM. And I was like that for about 5 minutes or so. And after a while of having such a low heart rate, my heart stopped and I died. And I remember that actually. I remember lying there, passing out, and then I woke up quickly and it felt like my heart exploded, which is weird because when you have a heart attack, your heart stops, but it was very painful.
Yeah.
And then I just blacked out.
Hey, my name is Michael.
And my name is Michelle.
And we want to welcome you to the M&M Show. Today we have a special guest on the show. He's overwhelmingly, it's not fair that you get all these talents at his age. But also there are some tough things that have happened in his life. And I'm not saying this hyperbolic. He literally died and came back to life. Yes. We have Lem on the show.
Come on.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to the M&M Show, Lem.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
And thank you for resurrecting.
Yes. I mean, I didn't really do it, but it happened.
We praise the Lord for your life.
Okay, so we're laughing about it now. It's always good to laugh later.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we're going straight in on this one.
Yeah.
You literally, please, you tell it in your words. I'm going to tell you in the transcribed version that I have after being able to witness part of it. So you literally die for not one, not two, not three. Your heart physically stopped for 6 minutes. You were literally dead. Mm. Your family didn't understand you joining the church, specifically your mom. And so she did not have a heart for the church. Once you die, we let your mom know, sorry, your son died here in Spain at the conference. Her heart had been stopped, if you will, with regard to our church or what you're doing and all of that. She comes, I don't know what happened. We prayed. I remember praying. Your heart starts. You're saved, dare we say. We don't lose you. And then your mom breaks in tears, studies the Bible. And when your heart stopped, her heart started. And she's now my spiritual mom in the church.
Yeah.
Is that the story? Fill in the bits that I messed up on.
It was, we're in Spain. I remember, on the day I left London, I didn't eat anything because we were going as a big group and I'm organizing everyone. I just didn't really have time to get food. I'm like, cool, I'm going to eat when I get there. I get to Spain and I realize, oh my goodness, because I'm remembering what happened in Mexico.
What happened in Mexico?
I nearly died in Mexico.
Because
I was like,
maybe or you can share with the audience that you are highly allergic
oh, yes.
to nuts.
Milk, eggs, and nuts.
Milk, egg,
very deathly allergic.
Right, deathly.
And in Mexico, I ate some tacos, they cross-contaminated cheese into it, and I nearly died in the conference hotel. So now I'm in Spain, I'm like,
another conference.
Yeah. Spanish-speaking conference. I was like, man, I don't want to do that again.
Oh, you actually had that thought?
Yes, and this is on Monday. So I'm looking around for food. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to eat tomorrow. I'll have the hotel food when the restaurant's open, and it will be safer. But as I'm getting ready to get food on Tuesday morning, I get a text saying, hey, today we're doing fasting for International Day of Mercy. So I was like, okay, I didn't eat yesterday. Guess I'm not eating today either. So I'm fasting all day until 6 p.m. and I'm with the AV guys and we're about to set up for the day before the conference. And we're like, hey, we're going to break our fast together. We're going to order in some pizza. Lem, we know that you can die. We're going to order a vegan pizza. No chances. Order the vegan pizza. I had it all to myself so that it wouldn't be cross-contamination. I eat it. And I'm like, man, this is the best non-dairy cheese I've had in my life. These Spanish guys are doing something. And as I'm thinking that, I can feel my throat start to tingle.
Oh, no.
I was like, there's no way. And I'm looking at the pizza. So I spoke to the guys. I'm like, hey guys, I think I'm having a reaction. I don't know how. I'm going to go to my room, take my pills. Go to the room, take the pills. Didn't help. Take the EpiPen. It gets better. And then it gets way worse to the point where I'm like, okay, I need ambulance right now. Ambulance comes and I get to the hospital. In the hospital, I was on the phone trying to get into the hospital because at the hospital they say, hey, we know you're having an allergic reaction, but we can't let you in until we clear your insurance.
Oh God.
I call the insurance company, say, hey, can you guys please open a case so the hospital can let me in? They're like, yeah, no worries. When the hospital lets you in, we'll open the case. So they won't let me in until I open they're both waiting for something that hasn't happened yet and isn't going to happen unless the other one does it. I was on the phone.
And you're obviously, you don't speak Spanish.
I don't speak Spanish. And I'm speaking to all these different insurance operators. And I looked through my phone history. I was on the phone for like an hour and 10 minutes.
While you were literally going through your own shop.
It was only, and the doctors told me, it was only the pills that I took in the hotel room that I was living on that moment. Otherwise, I would have died in the waiting room.
Right?
Exactly. I would have died in the waiting room just from the reaction would have got me in the time I was waiting. I call these different people. Eventually, I get on the phone to this manager in Bangkok. I'm like, please, you need to help me. I'm going to die. Like, just, I don't know what
you need to do. You need to do something.
Just help me out, please. And she opens the case. I get inside and I started to feel really scared, which is weird for me because I've nearly died 3 times, like been very, very close. And then I've had allergic reactions like 100 times. And I've never been scared before.
Part of your life.
Yeah, it's kind of something I'm used to. And especially since becoming Christian, I haven't been afraid of dying. But this time I was in the hospital bed and I was with Aaron Bao actually. And I said to Aaron, I was like, Aaron, please pray for me. Because I feel scared, but I feel so scared that I can't pray myself. And that was making me more worried because I was like, why am I so afraid? What I didn't realize was at the time, the oxygen shortage in my brain had given me hypoxia. Hypoxia is when your brain is so short on oxygen that you start to get delusional. And the delusion that I had was that everyone in the hospital was trying to kill me.
That's right.
I believed that I was on death row and that they were about to give me the lethal injection for a crime that I didn't commit. And that fear that I had was the beginning of the hypoxia fear, but I didn't know I had hypoxia. And after a while, the delusion got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
And you were fighting.
Yeah, I jumped out of the hospital bed because they were coming to me with a needle.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, no.
They're trying to kill me.
This is going to be it. And after a while, the hypoxia delusion got so big, I forgot I was Christian. I didn't know, You
didn't know anybody for a few days.
I didn't know anything. So I was there thinking that I was about to die, not knowing that I would go to heaven, not knowing that God was with me. Like I died
like a criminal,
like an atheist.
Right.
That's what I was so afraid of.
Perspective was in that moment.
I was afraid of what's going to happen to me when I die because I don't know about heaven or hell.
Essentially, you were allowed to have a window into where an atheist could fit.
Exactly. That's exactly what it felt like. It felt like I died without God. So yeah, I was in the hospital bed, and I jump out, and I started like speaking to people, like kind of pleading for my life. They tried to hold me down. I remember I punched one of the doctors, and I started running away, and they grabbed me, and all I felt was a pinch in my back. I was like, "What's that?" And then I passed out because they tranquilized me.
Oh my goodness.
When I woke up a couple minutes later, I was in handcuffs, chained down to the hospital bed.
Which is probably guilt.
Which is, yeah, I'm so afraid at this point. They saw that I was very stressed. And at this point, they've dealt with the allergic reaction. But I had extremely high blood pressure as a result of the allergic reaction and my stress from feeling like I was going to die. So they were like, okay, we need to calm him down. They gave me a shot of benzodiazepam, which calms your brain, but it was nasal. It's a long needle that goes up your nose. And I thought that was it. I'm like, no. It goes in, my blood pressure spiked up, and it wasn't helping me calm down at all. So they're like, okay, at this point, he's going to have hypertensive crisis and die from his high blood pressure. They didn't have anything they could do with that except for one pill. I don't remember the name, but I remember I looked over the medical report. The pill they gave me is actually illegal in the UK and in America. And in Europe, it's like, if you really have to, because it's so dangerous.
What was in it?
It's a pill that lowers my blood pressure.
But it's
so strong that it can...
You could go either way.
Exactly. But they're like, okay, well, he's going to die anyway, and we don't have anything else. They give me the pill.
You were going to die of a heart attack.
Of the high blood pressure.
Yeah. Which would be a high... So
it's like the blood pressure is just too high for your body to sustain. Your body shuts down. I'm not exactly sure how it works. Maybe Chris K could tell you. But then I take that drug, and what's weird is all these drugs, they're very powerful, and I can feel what they're doing in my body. Like I can feel the high blood pressure. I can feel the stuff like going up into my brain. I can feel everything. And it's like all these strange changes going on in my body. And then they give me this blood pressure drug, which dropped my blood pressure down, which was good. But in the process of doing that, it compromised my lungs and it dropped my heart rate to about 13 BPM. And I was like that for about 5 minutes or so. And after a while of having such a low heart rate, my heart stopped and I died. And I remember that actually. I remember lying there, passing out, and then I woke up quickly and it felt like my heart exploded, which is weird because when you have a heart attack, your heart stops, but it was very painful.
Yeah.
And then like I just blacked out. Now in that ICU, apparently they didn't have time to give me anesthetic or like to make things comfortable because I was going to die. They're like, let's just save his life. And they have a combination of drugs which kind of makes your memory less powerful of what happened so that you don't live with a bunch of trauma. Oh my goodness, I went to the hospital and they did all these terrible things to me. But in the process, according to the medical report, they gave some drugs in the wrong order. And the memory drug became extremely powerful to the point where I died. I was on life support for a while, breathing tubes and chest tubes and everything. And I wake up after being on life support not knowing anything.
Yeah.
That's right.
I didn't know my name. I didn't know where I was.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was in hospital. And I woke up to the pain of them removing one of the life support instruments from my body. It was like a tube in my throat, which they'd locked into my mouth because I was a hostile patient. And they were afraid that I would try and take it out myself.
Right.
So
right.
They locked it in, but then in the process, they have to like rip it out of your throat and that was what woke me up. I was like, ugh.
It was so painful.
Very painful. And then I was like, wait a minute, who am I? Like, what am I doing here?
Wow.
I thought that I was 43 years old and that and the only memory I had was being in the hospital. So I just assumed that I'd been in the hospital for my whole life. I thought the whole world was hospital. I didn't know that there was anything else. Like that's just what I believed.
Oh my goodness.
And then eventually a nurse comes and they explain the procedure they're about to do to you.
Another one.
In Spanish. But I don't even know that Spanish even exists. I don't know that there's such a thing as languages.
Right.
What I see is, okay, well,
because of the oxy.
yeah, all of the hypoxia and everything and the different memory drugs. I was like, wait a minute. You look like a human being, but you're speaking in some weird, and they can all understand each other, but I can't understand them, and they can only kind of understand me. And they would come, and then they would do something very painful, and then they would go. So after like a couple hours, my conclusion was, okay, I must be some sort of very bad person, and I'm in a torture facility being tortured for something bad that I did. And that was basically my experience of ICU. And I remember actually when I got out, because I thought I was never going to get out. I thought I was born there.
Yeah, you had no...
That I was being tortured for my life, and then they were just going to kill me, like as an execution.
Oh my goodness.
So when I was there, I was so desperate to leave. I knew that I couldn't. And I hated, like, they had these different probes on my body so they can monitor my heart rate and stuff. And I felt like I didn't exist. I remember actually there was a guy in the ICU. He was in the place next to me.
See.
Yeah. And he had like, I don't know what was wrong with him, but whenever they went in, they would wear these hazmat suits and go in and then quickly rush out and slam the doors. Until one day they went in and they came out very casually, like there was nothing to be afraid of. And the next thing I saw was his body being wheeled out. I was like, man, they killed that guy. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen to me?
This is just reinforcing your.
I was
your,
that whole
nightmare.
time. Like, yes, it was very physically painful, but because I've nearly died a couple times, I'm kind of used to the physical pain. What was worse was the fear, consistent. Because bear in mind, at this point, I still don't remember that I'm Christian. I don't remember about the Bible.
Know who you are.
I don't know anything.
So tell us, so they take you through this crazy procedure, you're going through, and then you come back, they bring you back to life. How was, you come back to life?
So I woke up with an intubation tube in my mouth. It's a very thick tube, the one that was locked into my throat.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it breathes for you. So it disables your own natural breathing. So it feels very unnatural.
It's horrible.
And I woke up and I remember being awake for a while, before they realized I was awake. So I'm awake there and I'm choking on this tube. I wasn't dying. I could breathe because the tube was breathing, but
you were so
I didn't know that, and it was extremely uncomfortable. And then eventually they pulled it out. There was some stuff in my nose. I think I did wake up when my mum was there too.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, that's the
that
part.
was a pivotal moment
So
for you.
for me,
Must have been.
I wake up and my mum was there.
And she had to get on a plane and come all the way from
Yeah,
UK
she flew.
That
to
morning,
Spain, to
yeah.
Barcelona.
I remember calling her and saying, it's really bad.
Yeah.
Please come.
And I saw her, and she was next to me on the next to the bed.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know who she was.
No, didn't jog your memory at all.
Not really. And there was a lot of times where I would wake up. This is what my mum told me. I'd wake up, I'd ask what was going on, and then fall asleep. And then forget everything that I was just told. So when I wake up, I would be asking the same questions again and again and again and again.
But at least she spoke English.
Yes.
So that was probably, what was that like? At least it gave you a little bit of
It didn't.
relief. It
actually.
didn't. Still.
So because of the notion that I had that I was like being tortured or whatever, I thought, because she would kept telling me, hey, I'm your mom, no. I thought that she was like a secret agent. I was like, they found one person that I can communicate with and they sent her here so that I'll trust her. And then the moment I trust her, they're going to kill me.
Wow.
So I never told her this because I thought that she was the agent.
Part of the problem.
But in my head, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I was like,
No,
The secret agent
you're
was
a
the
secret
Lord
agent.
working on her and working on
Yeah.
you. So, okay, so now you come through it. They bring you back to life.
yeah,
And you talking to your mom.
yeah.
But
And-
nothing's clicking yet.
And nothing's clicking, but then it comes to things start clicking and God. When did she go, okay, it's time for me to actually see what God is trying to say me? Say to me, rather.
That was like all the way after the conference. That was, so when we got back,
You were in hospital how long?
I was in hospital for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
So I was in ICU for a
You came to
day or
church
two.
Sunday.
Yeah.
You remember the
So
Lord on Sunday.
you remembered you were a Christian.
So I was in ICU.
Yeah.
They moved me out of ICU after a while and they moved me to a different ward, which is what I thought was going to be like my last moments.
Goodness.
And I remember there was like, it's probably my worst day in the hospital. I was lying there in a bed. I had a window next to me and I saw the outside world for the first time. And I was like, wow, like there's a brown thing with green stuff. Like I saw a tree, but I didn't know it was a tree.
Infantile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in a grown body. In fact, I remember
With a grown
going to the
mind.
bathroom once and seeing my face. I'm
What
like,
was that like?
there's no way that I'm 43 years old. Like, there's no,
You're like, oh, my hands.
that's not possible.
What?
And I was like, wow, so this is what I look like. And I was looking outside and I remember the first time,
Can't be 40.
Did you
I saw-
think this is dumb? You can cut this if not. Did you go, I'm black? I'm white?
I didn't actually think about that.
You didn't think
actually.
about race?
It's because I'd seen my hands already.
there you
Yeah,
go.
I think I'd seen my hands. I'd seen
'Cause I
my
was, like,
body.
wondering.
But maybe if I hadn't seen,
Yeah, I wonder.
Everything was a shock to me.
Yeah.
I looked outside the window. I saw a guy walking past. I was like, wow,
Another human.
there's people outside of this place. And that was the first time I got hope. Because I saw if he can be outside, then maybe I can be outside too.
Hope is huge.
But that was what actually made me go crazy. On the first night,
You were hopeless.
yes, because I thought I was never going to get out. I thought they were going to kill me. And I was lying there in that bed. And I remember a song came into my head. Kanye West Sunday Service Choir. It says, dear God, make it all right. Only you can make it all right. And I was like, this God guy, why am I thinking about him? But for whatever reason, he seems like he can help me.
No way.
And I felt like I wanted to pray. I don't know where the feeling came from, but it's just like,
deep,
I was like, wait a
your
minute.
essence
And then it just snapped. I was like, there's someone I can speak to who can actually like help me out here.
started to come to.
And I tried to pray, but I couldn't because one of the drugs that I was on made it so that if I think too hard for any prolonged period of time, I had
Headache.
terrible headache behind my left eye. Like it felt like I was going to die again. So I remember I would sit there and I would pray in 10-second bursts.
Yeah, because all the energy.
I'd be
you
like,
could
hi,
stand.
don't know if you're there. Can you? And that was it. I'd try and remember where I left off and I'd say 10 seconds, please help me. I need to get out, but I don't know. And I would pray for 10 seconds until I got a headache.
But you
Then
cried
eventually,
out.
I remembered the Bible. because I was on my phone.
Wait, when did you remember the Bible? After you came to and everything? Like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. So this is when I was in the second ward now.
Okay.
I was on my phone. I saw this Bible app thing. And I was like, oh, I wonder
Being
what
on
this
your
is.
phone, did it help you start to figure out who you
It
were?
creeps me out a
little
bit because I went into my camera roll
Yeah.
and I saw a bunch of pictures of people who it seemed like I knew, but I didn't remember them.
Yeah.
And then my mum would tell me, hey, these are your friends. And then I was like, oh, really? Like, I've got friends. So this is cool. So I went on the Bible app and I was like, oh, yes. And I remembered what the Bible was completely, but I didn't remember what it said fully and I couldn't read.
You couldn't read?
No. So I was looking at it and I'm like, this can help me, but I couldn't read it. And I tried to use like different fonts and stuff, but whenever I would read, I would get the same headache.
Yeah.
So I sat there and I would think about, there must have been something that I learned from the Bible. I'm sure my mom says I've been a Christian for like a couple years. There must be one thing that I learned from the Bible. Let me just try and remember it. And that was how I had my quiet times.
Wow.
And God allowed you to
Yeah,
think some
there was
thoughts.
the scripture in Corinthians and it says, when I'm weak, then I'm strong.
Okay.
That was literally the only thing I remembered.
Wow.
I was like, the Bible says if I'm weak, then
That's
I can
all
be
you
strong
needed.
because God's power will be with me.
God's
Okay, transition.
Wow.
We're at Winter Workshop,
Yes.
another conference.
Yeah,
So Mexico City, you died.
yeah.
Spain, died. Now we're at Winter Workshop.
Winter workshop.
What was it like sitting there after your mom had been against the church,
Yeah,
then saw the church rally around you?
yeah,
I'm reminded of Paul in Acts chapter 14 where he gets stoned to death and the Bible says the disciples surrounded him and then he came back to life. You know, sometimes you just need a bunch of disciples around you to get you back up. And now she's there at church, but she's getting ready to be baptized and to join God's family and to become a Christian. What was that like? 'Cause in many ways, your heart stopped and her heart
started. Yeah. I think that was probably one of the most inspiring moments in my life.
I can imagine.
Because, and I was saying this to someone earlier, your family are kind of the easiest to convert because it's your testimony, your message of how you've changed that can convert someone. And they know how you've changed the most because they've seen you for a long time before you knew Jesus and became a Christian. So for me, I saw my mom and I remember we were on stage together and she was sharing about how grateful she was to be able to become a Christian and all this different stuff. And I was like, wow, she's actually changed.
Wow.
Because she actually studied the Bible before.
She did. She ran away.
And she went like all the way up to one of the last Bible studies.
Yeah.
And then she said, you know what? This is too much for me. I know that it's true,
Yes.
but I just can't do it.
Yeah, she never became an enemy.
Yes.
She just said, I can't do this right
She
now.
just
I don't
thought
have
she
the
thought
faith."
it wasn't possible.
Yeah.
And now I'm hearing her and she's talking about the way that God's impacted her life and how she's overcome trauma and she trusts God now. And she said it with a conviction that I believed. When she was studying the Bible before, I was like, I kind of felt like there was a
something.
Yeah.
She wasn't really getting it.
Exactly. But when she was saying it at Winter Workshop, I was like, wait a
Mom's
minute.
got it.
You've actually changed. Because I wasn't in her studies.
Right,
and I was speaking to her every now and then. But like,
And you don't live with her.
yeah. And so it was only when I saw her, and it was the night before she got baptized actually.
Wow.
It was super late. I just come home from packing up some stuff and she called me and she said, hey Lem, I was just on the way home from the conference and I met this guy and we spoke outside Sainsbury's and he said he wants to study the Bible. Is it okay if I send you his number? I was like, this like, what's going on? You're like you're an actual disciple. This is incredible.
Share your faith in Sainsbury.
You spoke to a person because that was one of her biggest things. She was really yes, of
Evangelism.
sharing your faith and speaking to someone you don't know. And it was a random guy, and she was just telling. But what was really inspiring was how excited she was to know that she'd helped someone to get closer to God.
Oh, that's beautiful.
She was like, her face was lit up.
Yeah, and now she's talk about help someone. She's written a whole program on mental health. I've been speaking with her about really allowing it to become a mercy project here.
She's a social worker now. Yeah, she used to be a midwife.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so we really want to put together a program for the mental health of individuals in the church and out. So I see her being used quite deeply, as well as I see you being used. And now, transition, you've now just, now you're getting ready to become a single professional here.
Yes, I am.
So
Yeah.
life is good for Lim.
Yeah.
Yes.
The way that I got that job actually is kind of crazy, but the short version of the story is
What's the space the job is in, if you don't mind?
it's financial technology.
Oh, fintech.
So yeah, essentially the role that I'm going for is quantitative development. I'll be in the office analyzing the energy markets and finding opportunities for the company to trade mathematically.
Yeah, because that's your background.
Yes, mathematics and computer science. But it's actually the place where Denzel works. And he asked me a while ago, hey, we're fundraising for the church. I know, do you want to come here and make some money? So I went there to raise my special missions.
Right.
And we were
like a
doing,
short-term
it was
job.
like a small, simple job, just moving monitor desk things around onto,
okay.
like very, very like low skill,
Right,
like
right.
basic. I was like, hey,
moving.
I need to raise the money. Like I'm gonna do it. So I go there, and when I got there, I saw it was actually a trading floor. I was like, whoa. Then I speak to some people, and I remember I prayed the next day. I said, God, help me to meet someone who's looking to hire someone like me.
Wow.
And
There,
secondly,
at
in that
job.
place, help everyone there to be favorably disposed towards me. After that, every single day that I went in, I met a manager, I met a hiring person, I met someone who was really, and they all loved me. And then one day I go into the office to do that same basic job, and I meet this guy, and his laptop was broken. He'd been basically using it the wrong way for 6 months, and it'd been working fine until that one day where he said, yeah, now it's just logged me out. I don't know what happened. But it's been working every single day for 6 months, but today it just doesn't work.
And a man of God walked
I was
in
like,
the
yep,
room.
that's my opportunity. so I
you
walked
sorted
in
it out?
and I spoke to him. We had a great conversation. So yeah, please be praying for me because this could be a
And you
really great
fixed it?
opportunity. I didn't fix it.
No.
In fact,
Oh, it's just an opportunity to talk.
yeah. And because it was broken, he couldn't do any of his work.
So you had a lot of
And he said, you know what? I've got
God
nothing
set
else
up
to
an
do.
interview, broke his laptop
On
so you
the
got an
spot.
on-the-spot interview.
Yeah.
And you got a shot at getting this high-paying job
Yes.
here. So this
Congratulations
is...
on
Thank
that.
you.
Okay, so Jesus showed himself through miracles, signs, and wonders.
But you know what's crazy? I was only able to go into the office because I wasn't doing my master's.
Exactly.
Oh, that's right.
And I only paused my master's because I died in Spain. So if I was still doing my master's, I never would have been able to do the job with Denzel, and I never would have met this guy.
You wouldn't have needed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I died in Spain, I had to stop my master's because I couldn't remember anything. And then as a result of that, I had time in my day to be able to go and do this office job. And because of that, it's like it all came back from that one point.
Yeah, so basically,
Man.
God is awesome.
Yeah.
Is what we're saying.
Yeah.
He's got a plan
God
beyond
is-
us.
Shows himself through miracles, signs, and wonders. A lot of people that are highly intellectual in fintech or doctors, they don't believe in miracles. I tell them, hey, just come talk to me. I wake up to a miracle every day. It's my wife. But you literally experience a miracle in your
Yeah.
life. You were brought back from the dead. This isn't just hyperbolic or
No,
clickbait.
it's
This
truth.
actually, you know, all these videos like this, it's clickbait.
Yeah.
This actually happened.
Yeah.
And you're not some strange religious weird
No.
person
No.
who's like off left field. This weird that you literally died. The doctor said you died for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Came back to life. Your mom's heart had not started spiritually.
Yeah.
Her heart starts.
Yeah.
She becomes a Christian.
Yeah.
She's now writing a program for mental health in a church.
Yeah.
You're now getting a great.
Great job.
God is awesome. He resurrects
Yeah.
our
Yeah,
lives.
He does.
You are incredible, Lim. You're an incredible servant in the church.
Yes.
You're an incredible son in the faith. You're an incredibly intelligent, articulate, kind young man. You serve this church like you've been here for 20 years. And your level of maturity is beyond your depth. I am just fascinated by how God is working in your life.
Yes.
Thank you, bro.
I love you personally. And you're quite an awesome rapper on top of that.
Yep.
What can we say? You've been blessed. And so have we having you on the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the show, Lem. I think we spoke, a couple times after the incident.
I
And I
remember.
remember you saying that because you're a very rational guy, you're
Yep.
a numbers guy, a math guy.
Yeah.
But God became very real to you.
yeah.
Like you had your own personal experience with God. And I think it took you from rationally knowing God to knowing God in every gene, every atom of your body. And as we said in the break, I think too, it was kind of like you saw hell and heaven in a way. You got to experience life without God, and it was terrifying.
Yeah.
And that's a precious thing between you and God now that I think will always keep you grateful for his kingdom and his presence in your life. And I wish you the best. I love your mum. I love your sister, who is also a disciple.
Yes, yeah,
You're
yeah.
actually one of my son's best friends. How could we not love you? But we wish you well. And we're very excited to see what you're going to do in the fintech world as a strong believer.
And the last question I have, and
Yep.
we shut it down here, is what would you say to the young man that's out there that's
Yep.
your age right now, that's battling with what he wants to do in life, that hasn't died physically yet, but doesn't really have a reason to fear God? Why make this hard decision of Christianity? You know, because
Yeah.
in some
Why give up everything?
Yeah, why? What would you say to the young student, talented, bright student out there right now?
I would say that you can't say that you don't need something, because you don't actually know what you need until you need it, until you become aware that you need it. I think one thing that was very interesting about forgetting that I was Christian was that when I remembered and I wanted to pray, I couldn't. And I had that feeling of, this is something that I need, but I can't get it because of my physical condition. And I think it's very easy to say that, oh, I don't need God because I have this and I have that and whatever, which is true that you have those things, but God is not designed for those things in the first place. God is designed to have a relationship with you. And regardless of what you have or you don't have, if you don't have a relationship with God, you don't have a relationship with God.
Right.
So I think it's very easy for us to allow things to hold us back from committing to that relationship, especially when it's costly.
Right.
But what you have to ask yourself is, how do I know that what I'm missing out on isn't actually what I need if I don't have it and if I've never experienced it? So that's what I would say. I think being talented and intellectual is dangerous because you can get secure from what you can do and what you know, and the world that we live in is very like positive to those types of people.
Right.
But the reality of life is that you cannot survive without God, and that will catch you eventually, whether you like it or not.
Right. So you best be prepared.
Yeah.
Know how to pray.
You can't survive without God.
It's impossible.
It is impossible. You can't think your way out of God. There is an intellectual idolatry along with all the other idolatries out there. We worship the people that are the most intellectual, and yet history records that some of the most evil people have been intellectual people. Praise God, it's not you today. Thank you so very much for being on the show. Thank you for your story. And thank you that you died for 6 minutes, but you're going to live forever someday when you go to heaven.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a lot of great things in England.
In the meantime.
In the meantime.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, guys. Please like, subscribe, and comment below.
Yes.
See you next time.